Hey, where you been at, man? We're all ready for game night.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I was feeding the dogs and they bumped into me and knocked spaghetti sauce all over themselves.
Oh, wait. I have the perfect image for this. But where did I... Oh, no. Back in 2021, I started really looking through all my options for how to get this sorted out. Was there a magic folder organization method that would help me find things quicker? Could I take advantage of some hidden file properties to add in my own extra data? Would I just need to find some other piece of software that would help me organize my photos and files? Did anything that could really do what I want even exist? After all the options out there just really seemed not to fit me, I decided to take things into my own hands and slowly started working on my own piece of photo and file management software. Over the past few years, it's gone from a simple Python script that connected words with photo file names on my hard drive to a full-blown file organization powerhouse. This journey hasn't been without its twists and turns though. From fundamentally rethinking how I go about storing and retrieving files, to rebuilding this program from scratch more than once after running into technical limitations, to even questioning the entire project after a recent discovery. Today, I'm going to take you through all that and show just exactly what I've been trying to build here. This is the search for the perfect file organizer, the development of my own program in the process, and everything in between. Folders kinda suck. At its core, this project has been about sculpting a great system first, and then using or building software to bring those ideas to life. Unless you were born in the late naughty oddies, your first idea when it comes to organizing files and photos in your computer is probably going to be folders. They're the simple, classic way to organize your stuff into distinct categories. They work great for a lot of things, but have some serious shortcomings. Oh, hello there. Here, this file in particular is a photo of this cat. This is important. It will come up later. Folders can basically do one of two things. They can either contain files or contain other folders.
Actually, if you use symbolic links, you can actually link to other files virtually.
No, I'm not talking about symlinks in this video. I'm not trying to scare off my new audience. They're probably already about to click off once they realize it's not an Obsidian video. That's why I'm cracking jokes and waving pictures of cute cats on the screen. Where was I? Folders are about as bare bones as you can get. You can use them to create categories and subcategories, but whatever you want to store in them has to fall under one of those categories. If you're trying to store something that falls into more than one, then you're pretty much out of luck. You could start duplicating folders, or even start duplicating your files in order to force things to work for you, but having to resort to any sort of duplication like that is a sign that there's probably something wrong with the system you're using. But what if we took the idea of categories and flipped it on its head? What if instead of trying to place a photo or file into a series of siloed categories, we brought the categories to the file? This is where the power of tags come in. Don't try to place our picture of the cat into separate cats or creatures folders, but instead, let tags build a natural description of it. It's tagged both a cat and a creature. No need for crazy subfolders or wasteful duplication. Let's go ahead and tag it as cute, too. Oh, look at the little guy. Tags not only make it easier to classify your files, but they make it even quicker and more intuitive to find them later. Just search for the tags you want in the first place, instead of sifting through different possible folders. Now we're getting somewhere. But what if I told you the tags can have even more power than this? Some programs out there, like Obsidian for example, support what are called nested tags. This enables you to put some tags under the umbrella of others, in a sort of parent-child relationship. When searching for the parent tag, you'll also get results for any child tags under that umbrella, but not the other way around. This lets us cut down on the number of tags needed in order to fully describe a file, in addition to reducing confusion between tags created with a single name, but are meant for different situations. Now, while nested tags are already an improvement over regular tags, they could be even better. Nested tags have some limitations of their own. One is that they can only have a single lineage of ancestor tags. If a tag could fall under more than one parent tag, you're basically out of luck again. But could we fix this the same way we fixed this folder problem? Yes, we can. And as it turns out, I'm only at least the second most insane person alive to dive this deep into studying data organization systems like this. Without getting too lost in some hardcore data science, by using something called an attribute value method of creating tags, where in this system tags are treated as both attributes and values, we can basically tag our tags with other tags, and as much as we want. See this guy? He's from One Piece, the anime. Or, well, the manga, technically. Well, both? See, if I'm using a nested tag, then I kinda have to choose. Is One Piece a manga or an anime? When I really could be talking about either, or both. But with attribute value style tags, we're no longer limited to having to choose a single parent category. For all my programmers out there, you can think of this as a type of multiple inheritance. The child tag inherits its values from multiple parent attributes. Lovely. Are you getting it? By using these kinds of tags, we can create a single tag that makes up the bulk of our categorization with ease. Paired with a powerful search engine, and finding our original files will be just as easy. Even if I forget some of the finer details of the image or file, I'll still be able to narrow it down in a way that folders could never offer. So, we've got the base of our system that we want. Now, let's take a look at what's out there that might help us make our tagging dreams come true. Back when I first started searching for good solutions to this, my standards were a lot lower. I just wanted something with any kind of tagging, something that was cross-platform, and that didn't want to host all my stuff in their cloud, or rub their eyes all over my files in order to train their AI algorithms. This was back in 2021 too, mind you. Before I jump straight into looking for any dedicated software or services, I wanted to see if there's any sort of industry standards for keeping track of extra information, or metadata, along with regular files. This way, I might be able to stick to using a simple file manager, increasing the portability and future-proofness of the system. As far as standards go, there's two main schools of thought when it comes to this: storing data inside the file, or storing data alongside the file. First, there's the idea of embedding custom metadata right into files themselves. Most popular media file types have some sort of way to do this, and typically rely on one of two easily hard to remember acronyms: EXIF and XMP. I really won't go into too much depth with these, but here's the gist of what they do, and why they fail to please me. EXIF is most commonly used by camera manufacturers to store information like the f-stop, exposure time, ISO speed, location data, and more in the file. It's great for, well, exactly that, but not a great option if you have your own custom fields that you want to add. XMP, on the other hand, gives you some more freedom when it comes to user-created tags and fields. The biggest shortcomings of these standards, though, are their limited file type compatibility and their ease of use, or lack thereof. XMP is probably the closest there is to an existing standard that would fulfill what I'm looking for, but with everything it would take to use it, I'm kinda just better off creating my own system for managing metadata, without worrying about making sure it was backwards compatible with some photographer's aging copy of Photoshop on their Windows XP laptop from 20 years ago. Luckily, there's a way around files that don't support this kind of metadata being crammed into them. Sidecar files are little text files that write along with the main file and store all of its metadata for it. How considerate. They're typically named something similar to the main file, and are meant to be kept in the same directory at all times. XMP actually supports keeping data inside of sidecar files, instead of baking it directly into the files themselves. This has the added benefit of keeping your personal metadata separate from your files in the event of sharing them with other people. The big issue with sidecar files, though, is that they can get lost easily when you manually move your files around. For me, personally, just this awkwardness alone is pretty much a deal breaker when it comes to these things.
Oh my god, just pick something!
So, EXIF is out, and I'd rather use something better than XMP sidecar files.
Just lower your standards.
Heck, if I even did go down the XMP route, I'd still be limited to whatever file manager or specialty software I'd be using. So, while keeping that nice tagging system that we want in mind, let's take a look at how the big file manager and photo gallery programs stack up. Windows File Explorer. Pros. I'm already using it. It's cross-platform if you consider folders to be cross-platform. It's compatible with all files. Cons. No native tag support whatsoever. The search is slow. It keeps glitching out on me. It keeps doing the green loady thingy. Alright, it's just a bit buggy in my experience. macOS Finder. Pros. Again, folders are cross-platform, I guess, and it technically works with all file types. Plus, it actually has some native tag support. But the tags are global, and the tags are only cross-platform between iOS. Editor's note here. Just wanted to add, I don't really want every tag I create to be in a global pool, but rather separated by something like a vault or library system. I know, it's another wrinkle in the fold, but I just don't like the idea of sensitive tags just showing up everywhere. I don't want to see my tax information when I'm tagging a taco recipe, you know? Dolphin, the Linux file manager from KDE. Same folder benefits, works with all files, also has its own native tag support, but like macOS, the tags are global, the tags aren't cross-platform at all, and the tags can be lost if you're not careful. The give and take of Linux. Okay, what about programs just for photos then? Apple Photos and iCloud. Pros: it's cross-platform, it has albums, and it has folders, but for some reason you can't add existing albums to folders on iOS. I don't understand why they made it like this at all. I'll mention this now, but depending on the program, albums can behave strictly like folders or sort of tag-like categories, allowing for the same photo to be in multiple albums at once. For the purposes of comparing these, and my own sanity, I'm going to assume that you can add the same photo to multiple albums in all of these. Cons include: it only works with photos and videos. Gee, didn't see that coming. No tags. Cross-platform functionality requires their cloud. Doesn't work great on Windows or Linux. Can't put existing albums into folders. And these days, AI scanning can be applied to your library at any time without your consent. Google Photos. Pros include: cross-platform-ish. It's web-based. It has albums, which is honestly more than I remember it having. Cons include: pretty much requires a subscription. It used to be free in that regard. Cloud only. AI search only. No tags. No folders. No focus on user organization whatsoever. I used to use Google Photos, but then it got me so frustrated that I started this project in the first place. Alright, reeling it back in. Samsung Gallery. Pros include: it actually has tags, but not in the secure folder. It used to have this and then they kind of took it away out of nowhere. I feel like I'm one of 3 people in the world who noticed this. Anyway, it has albums. It has album groups or folders. Cons include: well, it's not cross-platform. Pretty much just Samsung phones, really. Not a desktop app. Oh, and I hope you don't lose all your tags in an update. That would just be tragic, wouldn't it? Adobe Lightroom. Turns out there's a whole organization side to this program that I didn't even know about. Pros include: it has folders, it has albums, it has tags, it has tag groups, it has custom metadata, and it's cross-platform and cross-desktop. Cons include: it's photo-focused, understandably, it's a paid subscription, and it's Adobe. Thanks, Adobe. Here's an interesting one that came up early in my research. TagSpaces Pro. I'm also realizing now that I may have come up with a similar name for my program. Pros include: it has folders, it has tags, I mean it better with a name like that, works with all files, it's cross-platform on desktop, has an open source tagging format, allows for custom metadata, and it has a freaking web clipper. How cool is that? The cons include: it is paid, either a subscription or a one-time purchase, and well, the tagging system is literally just putting the text of the tag in the file names themselves. And if you weren't aware, file names on operating systems usually have a pretty small character limit. Although, to be fair, they do have an alternative system to this that uses Sidecar Files instead. Although, you know how I feel about Sidecar Files at this point. Oh wait, where'd the other half of the graphic go? Did it get lost in the transition? Dang it. While some of the previous options seemed decent, nothing I could find out there completely checked off everything from my list. And if I was going to put all this time and effort into switching to a new program or service to essentially organize my life, I didn't want it to be suddenly shut down one day, or start charging me a subscription, or do anything nefarious with my personal data. Now, as a programmer myself, this is when I began to have my Thanos moment and started just doing things myself. Thus began the construction of my dream solution. It all began as a humble Python script. I knew from the very beginning that I wanted a central database that held all the tags and additional metadata for files inside it. No sidecar files, and no trying to embed the metadata into files that could even support it. This would allow me to have greater flexibility when moving files around outside of the program, as well as gaining the ability to have multiple vaults or libraries that contain different sets of tags for different purposes. Up to this point, I've been using Python along with Tkinter to create a simple GUI. I chose these because I wanted something that was cross-platform, and JavaScript plus Electron was giving me some headaches when it came to native file access. I've already used Tkinter as a front end for some small projects in the past, so I just went ahead using it for this as well. It was during this time I developed my attribute value tag system. This is when I gave the app a new name to better reflect its growing power and potential. TagStudio. Also, Tagbox was pretty generic and apparently taken by something similar. Around the time I started implementing the custom tags though, things started to get sluggish. Tkinter went from being a tool to an obstacle. The draw times were just becoming too slow for a photo library with a dynamic interface. And the consensus online? Yeah, that's just tkinter. Use something else instead. So, I did what every programmer dreams of doing. Refactoring and starting over from scratch. Oh, the joy. I just went to work building a proper GUI using Qt this time around. Now, I developed the metadata system into something unlike I'd ever seen before. Let me show you exactly what it's like now. Besides seeing some relevant metadata built into the file itself, you can add pretty much any kind of user-defined metadata you want to the entry. You want a title for the image? Sure. You want to add a description of it? Of course. Some additional notes? Oh yeah. An artist? How about two? Might be a collaboration. And this hasn't even gotten to the tags yet. Tags themselves are made up of a full name, a shorthand name, a list of aliases, a list of subtags, and a color for style. Usually the names of the tags are displayed as their full name, followed by the first parent tag shorthand in parentheses, for clarification against other tags with the same name. Both names, as well as everything in the alias list, are used to help you find the tag without needing to remember the exact name or spelling of it. This is, in my opinion, a game changer when it comes to being able to search through your media. You may have also noticed that instead of directly tagging the entry, I've decided to create these groups or categories the tags can then be applied to. By default, I had groups for meta tags and content tags, which in my experience helps separate the different circumstances of tagging for clear organization. Actually, let me show you an example of a meta tag. You're probably familiar with some sort of favoriting or liking system from different programs and websites, and TagStudio is no different. Instead of making a favorite act as another bit of information though, marking an entry as a favorite actually adds the favorite tag under the meta tag group. So why the heck would I do it this way? What's the point of adding this extra layer? When thinking about what a favorite is, really it's just a category that you're applying to a piece of content, just like a tag. And if a favorite is just a tag, then why not give it full access to the power of our tagging system? Now you can have other tags inherit from the favorite tag, or apply whatever aliases you want to it. The same goes for the archive tag, both of which I've given special easy access badges on every thumbnail. As I've alluded to, or tried to brush over, this whole thing isn't exactly finished yet. I've been working at a slow pace on purpose for it, but also feature creep has slowly set in, causing me to keep pushing off a final release. There's a few little things left that need to be in here for a public release, and then some big features that'll make the program much more usable. Probably the biggest feature I've yet to implement that I know I want in the initial release is a cleaned up and powerful way to add tags in bulk. Right now, I'm planning on adding a series of tag-focused side panels that can always be open or out of your way if you wish. These include a tag search panel, a recent tags panel, a top tags panel, and a pin tags or tag palette panel. No way I'm calling it that. Combined with a good multi-selection system, I want you to be able to bulk add tags based on any or all of these common metrics. You'll also be able to copy and paste data from one entry to another, or multiple others. All that is probably going to take the longest to implement though, and I came up with the ideas before switching to the whole tag groups concept, so I'll need to workshop some of the finer details over time. Alright, while doing my research for this video, I came across something new. Something that, as a programmer or a YouTuber, you never want to see. That is, the exact project that you've been working on, already done by someone else. How did I not find this program before? Color me surprised when, among some YouTube results for TagSpaces Pro, I found a video for something called Eagle app, or just Eagle? Eagle.cool? I'll just call it Eagle here. At first glance, it's extremely similar to this TagStudio app I've been developing in the background. It's got the grid of images and files in the center, it's got the right side panel with all the metadata fields, and worst yet, it's kinda just better than mine in a lot of ways. It's got this web clipper plugin that you can use to instantly import posts and files into your library. It has native support for audio files and waveform previews. It's got this fancy flow layout option in the middle that, I'll be honest, I've wanted in TagStudio from the beginning, but it's pretty difficult to do that in a performant way in Qt and Python. So that's when I realized I needed to stop, take a step back, and think over my options. Was this just the end game of everything that I had been planning? Should I just throw my program aside, toss over the $29.95 one-time purchase? It's not even a subscription. And embrace my new Eagle life? Honestly, I could. Heck, if you're someone who's looking for what seems like a great file organization solution, I'd even recommend giving this thing a look. Somehow there's only, what, less than like a dozen videos on YouTube covering it? No wonder I wasn't able to find out about this thing earlier. However, as I started thinking over it more, while Eagle has most of what I was working on for TagStudio, it doesn't have everything. From what I can tell, it's using plain old traditional tags without any of the subtags or aliases that I've come to embrace in TagStudio. Sure, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a big difference nonetheless. Not only that, but I was curious just how Eagle is handling storing all this metadata. While I was pleased to see it was in an open format, it's all in Sidecar Files under a specific Eagle directory structure. Meaning, whenever you add a file to your Eagle library, it actually duplicates your file and puts it under a new directory to keep track of and plop a sidecar file next to. This is kind of bizarre to me, as someone who's had no trouble managing libraries of files located on different parts of my hard drive. One great reason to not move your files around is to provide compatibility with other software, such as Obsidian. You thought this wasn't an Obsidian video. Gotcha! I mean, it probably would have helped my SEO if I put that in the title, but gotcha! With my vault-like approach to creating libraries in TagStudio, plus the fact that it doesn't move your files, you can effectively create a TagStudio library right on top of your Obsidian vault, allowing some supercharged photo and file management. There's actually a lot of untapped potential here. Oh, I could easily create a way to import tags from Obsidian. Heck, I wonder if I could create some sort of plugin that would integrate the two even better. Alright, maybe in another video. Okay, so there's more differences than meet the eye. But what about use cases? Eagle advertises itself as being a way to organize reference images, although clearly it's useful for a whole lot more than that. While managing reference images is also one of the fundamental reasons why I started developing TagStudio, I didn't want to generalize it to just that. Even though Eagle can handle images and videos and icon files and audio files and dang, they can even do PSD previews? Ugh, even though it can do all that. Due to focusing on references for designers, they probably don't have the incentive to add additional support for any file types outside of that space. Wait, they're working on a plugin system? Oh, come on! If there's one sure thing that my program has over Eagle, is that it's my program. There's nothing more customizable than your own app. And to me, there's enough I want to do beyond Eagle's capabilities to where I'll continue working on TagStudio for the time being. If anything, Eagle has been an inspiration for additional capability in my own program. And maybe as a cautionary tale for things to avoid. I don't know though. They seem to be on a pretty similar wavelength as me. A lot similar of a wavelength than that TagSpaces Pro app. Oh wait, they updated their logo? Oh, come on! Thanks for watching this unusual project video. While I'll continue to work on TagStudio, I'm real curious if there's any other features that you guys might want to see added to it. Or if maybe you're considering taking a look at Eagle and seeing if it's a good fit for you. But if you've enjoyed coming with me on this organizational journey, or if you just like seeing me delve into random technical projects, then consider subscribing. I've been Travis, and I'll see you in the next one.
What the hell is this?
It's your dogs covered in all that sauce.
Travis, that was 3 years ago.